I want to thank everyone for joining us here today in support of SB 350, also known as Alexandra's Law. SB 350 is an attempt to combat a growing epidemic where children are dying of counterfeit prescription pills made of illicit fentanyl. The legislation would give prosecutors the ability to prove implied malice when charging drug dealers with selling or distributing fake pills made from illicit fentanyl by advising convicted drug dealers that their actions can kill someone. This advisory is similar to the one provided to DUI offenders upon conviction. In my home county of Riverside, fentanyl deaths are up 800% over the last 4 years. Just this month, the DEA seized more than 600,000 counterfeit pills made to look just like the real thing. These drugs are marketed as Adderall, as Percocet, as oxycodone, a number of different prescription medications. And they're manufactured of fentanyl, and that's 50 to 100 times more potent than heroin. Just 2 milligrams of fentanyl can kill an adult. That's the size of a packet of sugar that you might get in any coffee store or diner to put in your coffee. Half a sugar packet is a deadly dose of heroin. Now scoop out a couple of grains of that sugar, and that is a deadly dose of fentanyl. As we stand here this morning, I wish that I had better news for you. I wish I could tell you that the members of the Public Safety Committee voted to protect children and put away drug dealers, but I cannot tell you that. Only one member of the committee, Senator Ochoa-Bogh, had the courage to stand up for kids and the victims of this deadly epidemic, and I want to thank her for her support. To say that I am saddened and disappointed is a gross understatement. I don't exactly know how to express how I feel. What we witnessed today was the protection of drug dealers over the victims of their craft. And I listened to everyone's testimony, and I look out at the pictures that you brought, and I hear your stories. And it's heartbreaking. And I don't know why people in this building continue to put policies out there that protect those who are harming our kids. Over and over, I heard overdose. It's not an overdose. That makes it sound like somebody was supposed to take 2 pills and instead they took 10. It's not what happens. It's not an overdose. It's a poisoning. It's intentional. The cartels know exactly what they're doing. It's cheap for them to use fentanyl, and they make a ton of money in doing so. And in the process, we have all these lives who are now gone, and it can be anybody's kid. It's as though people think that these types of drugs only affect certain types of people, and that's just not the case anymore. The drug landscape has changed. Until it happens to them. That's right. Until it happens to them. Our fight for justice for our children, for our friends, for our family members is not over. I'm not giving up on this. I was asked to take some amendments today on this bill that would essentially gut the bill. And out of respect for you, and out of respect for your loved ones that you've lost, I wasn't going to do that. I'm not going to put forward a bill that does nothing. I don't know if I'm shivering because I'm upset and sad or I'm cold. I can't figure out what it is. I will just tell you this. This is a fight worth having, and you need someone to be your voice.
Are you going to be that voice?
Your kids, your friends, your sisters, your brothers.
They say the problem is that we need to slow the demand of drugs. But tell me this, if fentanyl was being dropped inside of
Right. Or when they start putting it in marijuana products, then, no, more, right. I agree with you. I mean, I can't explain to you, and I can't justify it, why they have the feelings that they do. I can't justify it. I just know that for as long as I'm here, I will be your voice. Okay? And now I would like to introduce my constituent, Matt Capilouto, whose daughter, Alexandra, my bill was named after. But I do want to mention that although the bill is called Alexandra's Law, this bill is in honor of every single child that has been lost to this drug. Every single picture I see out here, this bill is in honor of them. Thank you. Matt?
Thank you, Senator Melendez. I'm Alexandra's dad. I'd like to personally thank Terry Almanza, Michael Gray, and Virginia Krieger for being my mentors in this fight. I'd like to thank Jaime Puerta, Steve Filson, Ed Ternan, and Amy Neville, who as my brothers and sister worked tirelessly on Alexandra's Law. Together, we will continue to fight the good fight. As thankful as I am for all and everybody here who have supported this effort, I must express my disappointment. Today, Senator Nancy Skinner voted to allow drug dealers to continue poisoning and murdering our loved ones. Today, Senator Sidney Kamlager voted to allow drug dealers to continue poisoning and murdering our loved ones. Today, Senator Stephen Bradford voted to allow drug dealers to continue poisoning and murdering our loved ones. Today, Senator Scott Wiener voted to allow drug dealers to continue poisoning and murdering our loved ones. Passing SB 350 and warning drug dealers of the dangers of selling deadly drugs was the least our elected representatives could do to slow the fentanyl scourge. It's a sad day for California when our elected officials who are here to serve can't even do that. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Steve Filson. I'm from San Bernardino, California. I'm a retired police officer. I did 31 years there. January 22nd of last year, my family's life went into chaos when my wife found our 29-year-old daughter, her boyfriend, dead in their apartment in the city of Redlands. Interestingly, there were two other victims that received the product from the same distributor, and they were found dead in the city of San Bernardino. My daughter is up here, Jessica Filson. Next to her beautiful face is the beautiful face of my 4-year-old granddaughter, Laura, who is now in our custody and we will raise for the rest of our lives. Beginning this quest, as a police officer, I heard a common denominator from virtually everybody I spoke to, and that was associated with what your feelings were, the lack of concern on the part of the police, and that they didn't really take it seriously, in that the stigma of addiction prevailed, and that a complete investigation was not really conducted. We went out on a tour, essentially. We visited Southern California sheriffs, San Bernardino, Riverside, Orange County, San Diego, Los Angeles. We spoke with the San Luis Obispo County Sheriff, and without exception, each and every one of those law enforcement leaders recognized that there is a problem, that they do need to change their posture, and they are starting to do so. An example, San Bernardino County Sheriff John McMahon created what he's now terming as an overdose response team. Narcotics officers will respond to these types of deaths, and they will investigate them from the fentanyl side of it. Excuse me, technology is not my forte sometimes.
They're not overdosing.
Oh my God.
Hey, dude, stop calling them that.
All right, man. You get it, okay? You get it.
As the senator so eloquently spoke, SB 350 was nothing other than a warning to people involved in the trafficking and distribution of fentanyl or other dangerous drugs, that if their continued activities would result in their possibly being charged with murder or manslaughter. The senators didn't get it. We have more work to do in trying to educate them. But I want to bring up a little bit of history when it comes to at least one of the senators on that committee. We spoke to Senator Wiener yesterday on a conference call as we're driving up Highway 5, and he outwardly expressed his lack of support for SB 350, citing the fact that additional incarceration does not cure addiction or anything else. As with that feeling, he was not in support. I want to take you back to December 2015, when then San Francisco Supervisor Scott Wiener was robbed by 44-year-old Lasagna Wells, who had a history of homelessness and addiction. She was arrested by the police, charged with robbery, extortion, and kidnapping. Senator Wiener said, "It's not a pleasant situation to go through. This is the first time in my life that I've been victimized like this. But whether I get the $200 back, it's worth it to get her off the street." In January 2017, Ms. Wells pleaded guilty to one count of felony extortion, with the prosecutors dropping the robbery charge. In March 2020, she was again arrested for 2 robberies. Released on bail in April 2020, she tried to rob a taxi cab. For that, she was again arrested on May 6th and charged with robbery. Senator Wiener did not respond to reporters when they asked for his response to that new arrest. And adding to my absolute confusion is SB 23 that was introduced in June of 2019 and authored by Senator Wiener to close a loophole prohibiting prosecutors from charging defendants with auto burglary. Auto burglary. Senator Wiener said, "The explosion in auto break-ins we're experiencing is unacceptable, and we need to ensure our police and district attorneys can adequately address it. When residents or visitors park their cars on the streets of San Francisco, they should have confidence that the car and its contents will be there when they return." Auto burglary, what does that have to do with anything? Change the word auto burglary to fentanyl poisoning, and you'll get the message. Confidence that your car would be secure when you return to it. All I can say, Senator Wiener, when my wife kissed our daughter for the last time on the evening of January 21st, 2020, my wife should have had the confidence that Jessica would be alive in the morning. Instead, she found her and her boyfriend dead after they were poisoned by fentanyl. I'm absolutely astounded by not only Senator Wiener's, but every other senator that voted in opposition or abstained to this vote for their inexcusable level of legislative hypocrisy. And this has to change in order to save our kids in the future. Cindy, thank you very much. Each and every one of you who came here, we love you, we support you. We are now a new family. Let's stay together, and the fight is not over.
Hi, my name is Cindy Sarantos, and I'm honored to be speaking here today in the presence of my fellow bereaved parents on this dire fentanyl fight. This is a serious public health crisis affecting all communities, states, and our country. Fentanyl poisonings have shattered many lives, no matter race, sex, age, cultural, economic, and political status. On Friday, May 8th, my 18-year-old son, Dylan Kai Sarantos, purchased on Snapchat what he thought was ecstasy. But instead, he was given a fatal dose of fentanyl, a highly potent and very deadly drug. Ecstasy, also known as MDMA or Molly, is a popular party drug known for its euphoric effects. It's commonly used at EDM raves, nightclubs, concert festivals. Victims of fentanyl poisoning don't know the pill or drug they purchased is fake. It's adulterated or many times pure fentanyl. No street drug is safe. It's in everything. They are not perks, Xannies, ecstasy, Adderall, cocaine, oxy, even marijuana is poisoned with fentanyl. What you thought you knew about drugs of the past, get that out of your mind. Fentanyl changes that. I'm snapping back at Snapchat. You are an accomplice in the deaths of our children. If parents can be censored on social media, you can create an algorithm to censor these drug dealers and protect our children from these predators. You can do better. The dealer who took my son's life had a history of arrest for possession and sale of narcotic substances. If SB 350 would have been in place, the dealer would have been held accountable not only for my son's death, that he knowingly knew he took my son's life, he days later took another young teen's life as well. Since my son's passing, the dealer has been arrested several times for selling narcotic controlled substances and continues selling today, potentially taking more lives. These drug dealers have no regard for human life. I wrote something in honor of our children. While it does reflect my loss, we honor all lives to fentanyl that we've lost. We are in this fight together. Do you know what it's like for your child to slip away silently in the night? I do. Do you know what it's like knowing they couldn't breathe and unable to call for help? I do. Do you know what it's like to walk into your child's bedroom and find them lifeless or dead? I do. Do you know what it's like to have saved lives as an ER nurse and I couldn't save my own son because it was too late? I do. Do you know what it's like to never be able to see them graduate high school? I do. Do you know what it's like not to come to terms with the fact that you'll never watch them fall in love, get married, and have children? I do. Do you know what it's like to never see, talk, laugh, hug, or kiss them ever again? I do. Do you know there's no other comparable grief than losing your own child? I do. Do you know what it's like waking up every morning to this nightmare that's now become your reality? I do. Do you know what it's like to advocate to save other lives amidst the pain of our grief? We do. Do you know what it's like for your children to advocate from the afterlife through their parents? We do. We will forever long for the memories that will never be. Because SB 350 did not pass, more lives will continue to die at the hands of them because they chose to ignore it. And there's many lives that are going to die now because of this. Had this been in place, this wouldn't happen to my son. And if it would, he would be held accountable. He's still selling today, even though he knew he took my child's life. Only days later, he sold and took another kid's life, and he knew that kid died as well. So we are here for the future grieving parents. Reach out to us because, unfortunately, this is going to continue to happen, and other kids are going to die because this didn't pass. Thank you. I introduce Ed Turner.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. My name is Ed Ternan. My wife Mary is here with me today. And in May of last year, we lost our 22-year-old son Charlie after he took what he thought was a Percocet that was actually a counterfeit pill made of fentanyl. We call those pills fentanyls, the fake prescription drugs that are designed to deceive. They're deliberately produced by the cartels to mimic the look of a legitimate medication that young people believe are safe and that typically take them as directed, as in one at a time. Now, we're all a little frustrated with the outcome today, and we heard the folks on the committee and the folks in the opposition use terms like overdose when none of the victims behind us, represented here today, died of an overdose, accidental or otherwise. They were poisoned. Each of them took a single pill. It's impossible to overdose on a Xanax unless it's a counterfeit made of fentanyl. So I'd like to address my remarks here directly to the young people in the audience and all across the state of California and this country. Once again, today we're reminded that legislation takes time and it's frustrating. Education is faster and it's more direct, and you can take control of it. So, you all didn't create this problem, but it's killing your friends. Don't let this happen to anyone in your friend group. Learn everything you can about fentanyl, where it is. It's showing up in everything. What you need to know is these counterfeit pills out there have flooded the market. They're all fake. If you don't get a pill from your doctor or your pharmacist, you have to assume it's fake. They've pushed the legitimate ones right out of the market. So you need to warn your friends. Don't let this happen to you. Don't have your family up here next year. If you ever run into a pill that looks like this, run the other way. This is an M30. This is the favorite marking of the Mexican cartels. It's generic. Just kind of stands for 30 milligram whatever. The cartels pass them off as Percocet, Vicodin, Oxy. There's also a whole lot of fake Xanax out there that look just like the real thing. You guys have to help each other figure that out. Take this on as your mission. This is a problem you can solve while these people try to figure it out. Okay? While they decide if they can figure out a way to put dealers in jail, you guys can put them out of business. Stop buying their crap. It's not real, it's deadly. Fentanyls are everywhere and they're killing your friends. Spread the word, please. That's our ask. Please spread the word.
Good morning. My name is Jaime Puerta, and I am Daniel Puerta Johnson's father. My son Daniel died on April the 6th, 2020, due to fentanyl poisoning. My son had been diagnosed with severe depression and ADHD in January of 2020 and was not a drug user by any sense of the word or diagnosed with substance use disorder. But he would self-medicate from time to time. Unfortunately, early on the pandemic, he went onto Snapchat, ordered what he thought was a pharmaceutical grade 30 milligram oxycodone pill, consumed half of that pill, and I found him unconscious on the morning of April the 1st of 2020, and days later died at Los Angeles Children's Hospital. I do not condone my son's decision to self-medicate, but he did not deserve to die for it. Had my son made that same decision to self-medicate in 2012, or even 3 years ago, he would be alive today. Prior to the major paradigm shift in the illicit narcotic world in 2013, low-level drug dealers, for the most part, were not responsible for selling instant death with traditionally non-lethal drugs. In most cases, prior to 2013, drug-related deaths were due to massive quantities being consumed. A combination of drugs being consumed within a short time frame by the user or other mitigating factors well outside the role of the drug dealer. But after 2013 and the introduction of illicit fentanyl into the black markets, it spread rapidly outside the confines of the addiction community, and people in the non-drug using community, such as recreational drug users, average everyday people, exactly like my son Daniel and all of these beautiful children behind me, who are self-medicating, began dying in rapidly increasing numbers from lethal drug poisonings of illicit fentanyl. Illicit fentanyl has done what no other black market drug has ever done. It can kill with a single use in microscopic amounts. This is what we call the new paradigm. This group of non-addicts is now the fastest growing and least recognized demographic for drug-related deaths in the United States, where people are being deceived unto death by illicit fentanyl poisoning. This has been done through counterfeit prescription pills such as oxycodone, Percocet, and Xanax, which are made of illicit fentanyl, and the contamination of traditionally non-lethal recreational drugs such as cocaine and marijuana without the knowledge of the consumer. Our children are the victims of this new paradigm. While the dangers and risks of illicit fentanyl contamination of traditionally non-lethal drugs and the existence of counterfeit prescription pills are very well known in the substance use community, these dangers are not, I repeat, are not well known among those outside the substance use community, which puts the public and all of our children at grave risk. There are more suffering families in California from this new pattern of deceit than anyone realizes, which is why we need to update our response to the fentanyl epidemic. SB 350 is a step in the right direction. It is a measured response that provides dealers with the chance to change their dangerous behavior. If they don't, they face harsher penalties. It doesn't throw first-time offenders in prison. It gives them a warning, just like we give drunk drivers. We hope that many drug sellers will take the warning to heart, just like most DUI offenders do. If they continue to sell drugs and someone dies as a result, they must face legal consequences. Consequences just like drunk drivers do. We know this approach works since California began this measure back in 1981. Deaths from drunk driving are way down, and so are incarcerations. Fewer people are dying and going to prison. SB 350 will get the same result with drug dealers. Their families behind me, these families behind me, and all of the families that are here in front of me, we have to live with the pain of losing our children every day. And our goal, our only goal, is to spare other families from that pain. We will continue to work hard to get this measure passed. This is by no way means the end. It is only the beginning. We are not going to go away. And we will not take a no for an answer. We need your help in achieving this life-saving goal. With that, I thank you very much.
That concludes our discussion for today. I want to thank everyone again for coming. I want to thank you to everyone who called in, to everyone who was brave enough to tell their story and share a part of your family with us. And he's right, this is not over. We're not done. Sometimes you have to try something several times in order to get it through. I've had experience with a few bills like that in this building. I had one bill, it took me 5 tries to get it through. So if it takes 5 tries, 10 tries, that's all right. That's what we'll do. But I just want you to know that you do have a voice in this building, and you do have people who may not have had the same experience as you, but who are hurting with you. With that, thank you again for coming, and please stay in contact with one another so that when this bill is brought through again, or if there are any changes made to it, you can be made aware of it and you can help us advocate. Thank you. God bless.